ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं च शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिविवचक्षुराततम् ॐ ऐं ह्रीं श्रीं क्लीं ह्सौः जगद्वसूत्यै नमः। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। Can everybody say after me, Hare Ramakrishna, 3 times. Om Hare Ramakrishna, Hare Ramakrishna, Hare Ramakrishna. Welcome back to the class. Anybody has any questions so far? If anybody has questions, we will take the questions. Or if you have a chart where you want to shoot or something, we'll take that. Yeah.
I'm not able to. The person came to the question.
Yeah.
And based on the station, looking at the downside, I could not tell what is the question she asked. I did not have a different answer.
Okay. So basically, there is a chart that you are confused about. Somebody came to you with a chart and you are not sure of how to approach. Can you give the data?
September 21st, 1980.
1 second. Why is it taking so long? September 21st, 1981. Yeah.
4:28
AM?
PM.
Okay. Place? Kolar. K-O-L-A-R. In Bangalore? I mean in Karnataka? There is only one Kolar. There are several Kolars. Which Kolar? This one or this one? They are close. Actually, they are not close by. Must be this one. This is 30 north. So this must be somewhere in Bihar area. So it must be this Kolar. Okay.
The question was, she's actually done her degree.
Okay, let me just save it. Are there any initials? How should I save it? Pratibha Kiran Chikisa. Pratibha Kiran Chikisa. Okay. So the data for those who are listening to the audio is September 21, 1981, 4:28 p.m. Indian Standard Time, Kolar, India. 78 degrees 8 minutes east, 13 degrees 8 minutes north. So the Lagna rising is Aquarius. So now what is the thing that you are confused about in particular?
The
Dashamsha. You said you were trying to see her education.
education is degree in physical education.
Okay.
And she has a job as a HR role.
Okay.
She's asking whether it is the right career.
Okay. So she did BE in some telecommunications, and she asked Kiran whether the job that she is doing right now, which is a human resources job, a HR job, is the right job or not.
She has to offer a grant.
Oh, I see. So she is just starting her career. Oh, okay. So this is the chart of somebody. Yeah, this is somebody 24 years, 23 years old, 24 years old. So this is somebody who's starting her career soon, and she asked Kiran whether the job offer that she has, if it is a HR job, is the right job for her. Now, do we know any events in her life? In order to be sure that the time is right, if you want to rectify the chart, you need some events. And the only thing that you told me so far is she did BE in telecommunications. Is there anything else you know about her? Like her father, her brothers, anything?
Her one, she got married.
Oh, she got married, okay. That can be helpful. Okay, 1 second. Let me just BE in telecom. November 2004, 2001, got married. Oh, when? Okay, March. See, she did a BE in telecom. On November 4, 2001, she got married. And she had a kid on March 16, 2004. These are the events we know. And do we know anything about father or mother? Like what they do, what kind of people they are, anything?
The father is retired. He used to work for the
For what?
Bharat
Bharat? Earthmovers Limited. Is it civil engineering kind of job or mechanical? Okay. Okay. Admin job, retired father. Okay, so this may be enough. So let's try to see if with the data that she gave Kiran, the events make sense. And if the events don't make sense, let's try to change the time a little bit so that the events make sense. And then let's try to look at the Dashamsa and try to give some prognostication. So first let's see the marriage. And let's see the Dasha. What Dasha should we be applying? Is there any special conditional Dasha that is applicable here? Is the Lagna Lord in the 7th house or 7th Lord in Lagna? No. So Rishabdasha Samadasha doesn't apply. Is the Lagna in Vargotama? No. In Navamsa it is in Scorpio, and in Rashi it is in Aquarius. So the Lagna is not in Vargotama, so Shatabdika Dasha doesn't apply. Is Lagna containing Sun? No. So Shashtihayani Dasha doesn't apply. Is the 10th Lord in the 10th house? No. So Chaturasiti Samadasha doesn't apply. So the conditional Dashas basically don't apply. This is a chart where you can just use the normal Vimshotri Dasha. So let's see the Vimshotri Dasha. And when she got married in 2001, right? 2001 November 4, she was running Jupiter Dasha and Sun Antardasha. Right? So Jupiter Sun gave her marriage. Now, is there a chance of Jupiter Sun giving her marriage, assuming that this Rashi and Navamsa is accurate? Let's see how much variation in time will change the Navamsa Lagna. If the time changes back by 3 minutes or goes forward by 8.5 minutes, then the Lagna will change in Navamsa. So this is the window that we have. Let's assume that this window is accurate. It's not off by more than this amount. And let's say that this Navamsa Lagna is correct. Now, Jupiter, does he have a chance of giving her marriage? Is there a chance that Jupiter would give her marriage in this chart? He's in the 9th house exalted. He is the 5th Lord. In the Navamsa chart, he is the 5th Lord. So he is the Lord of one trine, and he is in another trine. And in general, if a planet is associated with trine, that planet will bring blessings, things that come very easily as a result of all the good things that you did in the past life. And if the planet is in quadrant, it shows things that will come with some effort. You have to put some effort. Whereas if the planet is in Dusthana, it shows you have to put a lot of effort. There is a lot of karmic obstacle to getting what you want to get. Here, Jupiter is associated with 2 trines. He is the 5th Lord and he is in the 9th house. He is exalted. So he shows blessing as far as dharmic life and the marital life are concerned. Jupiter is showing great blessings in that area of life. So Jupiter Dasha can certainly give marriage. And especially in Navamsa, we know that 1st house, 7th house, 9th house. These are the important houses as far as marriage is concerned. Because marriage is a relationship, 10th house, 7th house. And marriage is basically any event relating to a particular divisional chart can be given by Lagna, because Lagna is a new beginning in that area of life. And in the dharmic, as far as her dharmic and marital life is concerned, which is shown by the Navamsa chart, the Navamsa Lagna will show the beginning. So Lagna, 7th house are important, and also 9th house, because marriage is basically an act of dharma. You are, by legally or ritually or religiously or whatever definition you use for marriage, by getting married to somebody and committing, you are basically following your dharma. So Jupiter is exalted in the 9th house of dharma in Navamsa, so he is certainly capable of giving marriage. And he is aspecting the Lagna, very good point. Jupiter has an aspect on Lagna. He is not only associated with 2 trines, but he is aspecting Lagna. Now, the other thing is, look at the Rashi chart. If you look in the Rashi chart, the 7th Lord, 7th house is the house of marriage. The 7th Lord's Sun is conjoining Jupiter and Saturn. Right? So Jupiter has an association with the 7th Lord in Rashi chart, and in Navamsa he is showing blessings, and he is probably showing a very early marriage, very easy marriage, etc. Without lot of trouble, lot of headaches actually, because he is associated with trines. And now coming to Sun, it is the Sun Antardasha which gave the marriage. Now what about Sun? Is he capable of giving marriage? Now, first of all, as far as 7th house relationship is concerned, he is the main planet for it in the Rashi chart. He is the 7th Lord. So as far as marriage is concerned in this Navamsa chart, he is the Karyasha. He is the one who is showing, whose agenda is to get her married physically. He is the 7th Lord of the physical Rashi chart. And in the Navamsa chart, who is he with? He is with 2 planets. And both of them are important planets for giving marriage, Venus and Ketu. So Sun is with Venus, the 7th Lord, and also Ketu, the Lagna Lord. So the Lagna Lord and 7th Lord are together with Sun. So because of his association with those 2 planets, he can certainly give marriage. So it can happen in Venus Antardasha, Ketu Antardasha, Sun Antardasha, etc. So Jupiter's Sun does have the capability of giving him marriage. Right? Now, let's see the Tithi Pravesh chart. Because when you look at the Tithi Pravesh chart, the window may actually move. We saw that now, actually before we move. Let's see what we know now. We know that the birth time cannot be moved back by more than 3 minutes. 2 minutes 58 seconds is the time. If you move it back by more than 3 minutes, it's going to change the Navamsa Lagna. So, let's say that this Navamsa Lagna is correct and this is not off by more than 3 minutes. And in the forward direction, it's not off by more than 8.5 minutes. Now, when you look at the annual chart of that year, who knows, the window may move. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. First of all, when the Venus Dasha is running, or when actually Ketu Dasha, because Venus and Ketu will explain the results. When the Ketu Antardasha or Ketu Dasha is running, then Venus will be giving his results. And he will give the results of 7th house as well as 12th house. He will be giving the results of both the houses then. As far as Sun is concerned, he is somebody who in the Rashi chart carries the agenda of giving her a relationship, getting her married. And in the Navamsa chart, the chart of the marital environment, he is associated with the key planets. He is not only having the right agenda, but he is associated with some key planets who have the ability to influence her marital environment. So he basically got her married. But one of the 2 planets who is influencing him, Venus, if he has some negative agenda also as far as the marital environment is concerned, that result will happen when that particular planet is giving his result. Probably my guess is not Venus, but in Ketu Antardasha or Ketu Dasha, there can be some 12th house related matter. But you have to notice another thing. The 12th house is not only the house of basically losses. 12th is of course the house of losses. But when you look at the Navamsa chart, the 12th house is also said to be the house of pleasures in bed. It is the house of sexual pleasure, the 12th house. Basically, 12th house is the house of giving yourself up. It's the house of compromise. It's the house of giving up. And pleasures in bed are basically an aspect of it. So 12th house shows those kind of pleasures, the carnal pleasures, especially in the Navamsa chart. Now let's look at the annual chart. If you look at the annual chart, When did she get married, you said? November 4. So it is after October 11. Her new year, if you make the Tithi chart, the annual lunar return chart for 2001, you see that the new year started on October 11, 2001. That's when her Tithi returned, Tithi of birth. Now, she got married as soon as this year started. She got married on November 4. So this year must be conducive to giving her marriage. Let us see if that is the case. And if that is not the case, let us see how much change has to be made in the time. If you look at the Navamsha Lagna change, how much time is needed. If the time changes backward by just 1 minute 53 seconds, the Lagna will change now. So our window, we know that it's within this window. Now we are getting another window, and these are not exactly the same. And by looking at both the windows, you can basically get a finer window. So we'll try to do that. First, let us see the ruler of the year. What? Yeah, Hora Lord. The ruler of the year, Hora Lord, at the time the new year was starting, was Mars. So Mars is the ruler for the year. He's the king of the year. Now, let us see how Mars is placed in the Rashi and Navamsha chart. And also let us see the Sahama. Let's see what is the Sahama you should see for marriage. Vivaha Sahama. The only problem is it is on a border. Let's assume that it is accurate. It is in the first degree of Taurus. So there is a chance that it is actually in Aries. There is a small error. So let's consider both, but to start, let us say that the Vivaha Sahama is in Taurus. Now, let us go back to the Dasha and see which Dasha gave her marriage. She got married in Moon Dasha is the Dasha that gave her marriage. And the Antardasha was Moon Mercury. Moon Mercury Dasha gave her marriage. Is there a chance that Moon Mercury Dasha can give her marriage in this chart? Yeah. And before we proceed, let us forget the Dasha for now. First of all, just looking at the chart, the Rashi chart, Navamsha chart of the year, and the ruler of the year, is there a chance that she will get married during this year? Timing using Dasha is a second thing, but is there a chance at all in this year? First of all, is the ruler of the year well placed in this chart, or is he badly placed? Why is he badly placed? Mars is in 6th house. Is it a bad placement for Mars? It is very good, you are right. Out of the 12 houses, there are 3 houses that are unconditionally good for Mars. And those are 3, 6 and 11. So the ruler of the year is placed in the 6th house. Of course, he is affected by Ketu, so there is something undesirable there. But he is very well placed. And does he have a good agenda for the year, or does he have a bad agenda? He is the Yogakaraka. From Cancer Lagna that is rising in the annual chart, Mars is the 5th and 10th lord, so he is Yogakaraka. So Yogakaraka, and also he is placed in the 7th house. So as a result of these, we will come to Navamsha, but first Rashi chart. Yeah. So he is talking about Navamsha. I am just focusing on Rashi for now. In the Rashi chart, the chart of physical existence, Mars is the 5th and 10th lord and a Yogakaraka, and he is well placed in an Upachaya, in the 6th house. It is a good placement for him.
Mars is supposed to be in 6th house, give you energy, give you difficulties, give you energy to overcome it.
Right. He may or may not give you difficulties. If Mars is in the 6th house, he may or may not give you difficulties. Basically, he is placed in the 6th house, and the resources he has access to are 6th house resources, which is giving troubles or giving energy to overcome the troubles, fight back and overcome the troubles. Those are the resources he is given to operate with. But which one he will do depends on his agenda. Now what is his agenda? What does he want to give to this native? Look at the houses owned by him. The houses owned by him are his agenda. And the house occupied by him is the resources that he has access to. He will use those resources to somehow fulfill his agenda. And also if he is associated with some other planets, he will also try to get those planets to help him and use the resources of those planets also. And as a result, during that process, he will also have to make some compromises and fulfill the agendas of planets that are with him. So that's basically the intuitive analogy. So using that analogy, what is the agenda of Mars here? He is the 5th Lord and 10th Lord. He is a Yogarka. He does not have a bad agenda. He does not want to give him trouble. Give her trouble. He does not want her to suffer. And that Mars is placed in the house where he is told to either give troubles or give the energy to fight back and overcome all the enemies, overcome all the troubles. So when a very favorable Mars is placed in that house, it is excellent. So as far as the ruler of the year is concerned, this is a very good year. That is point number 1. But point number 2, ruler of the year is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is overall the chart has to be strong. And Lagna Lord is always the most important planet. So look at Lagna Lord apart from the ruler of the year. So Lagna Lord, how is he placed? Lagna Lord is very well placed in Lagna, in own house. So Moon is extremely well placed. So Mars and Moon are, both of them are very well placed. So overall, we can conclude that this is a good and favorable year with lot of auspicious events, etc. Now, if you look at the Navamsha, does Mars, either Mars, the ruler of the year, or the 7th Lord of the Rashi chart, who is the Karyasha as far as marriage is concerned? Either the 7th Lord or 9th Lord. 9th is the house of Dharma. So when you are talking about marriage, the main Karyashas are the 7th Lord and the 9th Lord. Is one of them well placed in Navamsha, indicating marriage? Is one of them or the ruler of the year, well placed in Navamsha? First let us focus on the ruler of the year, Mars. What house does he own in the Navamsha chart? He owns the 7th house of marriage. And he is occupying own sign. He is very strong in his own sign in the chart of marriage and dharma. And which Arudapada is he occupying? He is in UL, Upapada Lagna. And what does Upapada Lagna show? It shows marriage. So Mars is basically the 7th Lord and he is in Upapada Lagna, showing marriage in his own sign. So as far as the ruler of the year is concerned, he has blessings basically to getting her married. As far as her marriage is concerned during the year, there are blessings from the ruler of the year. There is full cooperation from the ruler of the year. Now look at the Karyasha, the two Karyasha. The 7th Lord of the Rashi chart is the main Karyasha as far as marriage is concerned. And the 9th Lord, Jupiter, is the Karyasha. And the thing with Saturn is he is not only the 7th Lord, but he is not only 8th Lord is fine, but he is UL Lord also. So Saturn is the planet who is associated with the 7th house of marriage in the physical chart, physical Rashi chart, as well as Upada Lagna. Not only that, he is in Taurus. How close is he? He is far away, but he is still in the same sign. He is in Taurus. Do you remember the specialty of Taurus? We mentioned it at the beginning. It has Vivaha Sahamam. Vivaha means marriage and Sahamam means significant point in the zodiac. So Vivaha Sahamam is a significant point in the zodiac relating to marriage. So Saturn is associated with Vivaha Sahamam. He is associated with the 7th house. He is associated with Upada Lagna. So because Saturn has all these links, more than the 9th Lord Jupiter, he is the key planet as far as getting a marriage happen in the physical plane. And in the Navamsha chart, the chart of the marital environment, then see all the divisional charts are environmental charts. These are various environments that surround you. And Rashi is what is physically happening. So in the Navamsha chart, first of all, Jupiter, the 9th Lord of Rashi chart, is in the 7th house. And second of all, Saturn, he is a Yogarka in this chart, and he is taking part in a yoga with Moon, the Lagna Lord Moon. The Lagna Lord Moon and the 7th Lord Saturn of the Rashi chart are conjoined in the Navamsha chart in a quadrant, and Saturn is a Yogarka. So because of all these factors, the ruler of the year, the Karyasha of marriage, they are all favorable in the Navamsha chart to giving her marriage. So there is a chance of getting married. Which dasha is likely to give it? Forget, we already saw which dasha. But don't be biased. If you were to just guess, without any bias, which dasha would you pick? Who will give her marriage?
I would pick Moon and Mars.
Why Moon? Why Moon? I mean Saturn. Saturn, yeah. Not Moon. Saturn, because he is the 7th Lord, he is the UL Lord, he is in Vivasahamam, And he's a Yokarka in Navamsha for all, and also from Venus, the significator of marriage, very Saturn. He's the dispositor of Venus, and he's in the 7th house from Venus. So for all these factors, Mars is definitely a candidate, but I would say that the stronger candidate is Shani. So Saturn Dasha should have given her marriage. But as far as marriage is concerned, Navamsha is concerned, Saturn and Moon are together. So they will exchange their results. Saturn will give Moon's results and Moon will give Saturn's results. So there is a very fine chance that the Mars Dasha will give her, Moon Dasha will give her marriage. And she got married in Moon Dasha. So this makes pretty decent sense. Let's see the other event. She got a child. She had a child born on 2004, March 16. No, I don't want to. Yeah, we are. But I don't really want to. I'm happy with this. I want the Yokarka Saturn to give marriage rather than 5th and 6th Lord Saturn to give marriage. I'm happy with this. And also I like the fact that the ruler of the year Mars is in Upad Lagna and he is the 7th Lord. That supports why he got married during the year. So if you want, you can change it to the previous sign as well as next time. And you can see if it makes sense. But see, the thing is, sometimes you just have to, you can look at all the factors, but when you are reasonably happy with something, you can just move on. But it is a good idea to consider the other things. There may be some good factors that way also. It may not be a bad idea to summarize them and try to see. But let us say that this is right, and let's move on. Somebody raised their hand and then.
When I looked at I saw the Venus in the picture that had the astrology and the what are the last things
Yeah.
I stopped looking.
Okay, that is good. Yeah, that is favorable, but why Moon Dasha? Unless you see Saturn, unless you see the importance of Saturn in both Rashi and Navamsha charts, you will not really completely appreciate why Moon Dasha would give the result. It could be any other Dasha, it could be Mars Dasha. It could be even Venus Dasha, because he is after all the Karaka. Venus is the Karaka for marriage, and here he is the Lagna Lord in Navamsha. It could be Venus Dasha. There are so many possibilities. But if you enumerate various factors, you see that Saturn is really the dominating factor as far as giving her marriage is concerned. Now let us go to 2004. Was it before the 2004? March. So we should make a chart for 2003. If you make the annual chart for 2003, this chart is cast on September 19, 2003 at 18:15:41, 6:15:41 p.m. Now in this year, the ruler of the year is again Mars. So somehow Mars is giving her a lot of results. Now let's see which chart should you see for children? Saptamsha, D7. So let us see the D7 chart. So if you see the D7 chart, is there any chance that Mars should be giving her children during the year? First let us see how much variation we have. So it can be off by 10 minutes backwards or 3.5 minutes, 3/4 minute forward. Still Lagna will be the same. Now, is Mars capable of giving her marriage, giving her children during this year? I just want a honest answer. Is the ruler of the year favorable to giving her children during the year? Looking at this chart, would you say that she would have children during this year? In the Rashi chart, Mars is a favorable planet, he is a functional benefic, he is the 9th Lord, he is in the 12th house, not very well placed, shows some hospitalization or loss or suffering, etc., or some compromises, etc. But he is the 9th Lord, shows fortune, lucky event, but does he show children? For women, yes. Right, but that is more so in the Saptamsha chart. And if you see the Saptamsha chart, forget the Mars. If you see children, in a woman's chart, if you want to see children, the 9th house is the controlling house. 9th house is very strong. Venus is in own house in that particular, in this particular year G7. So that is strong, and the Lagna Lord Mercury is in a quadrant, he's well placed. And Jupiter, how is Jupiter? He is reflected by two malefics. You don't really, when you see the chart, honestly you don't, there are some charts that stand out. You see, this year there is a childbirth. But this doesn't seem to stand out like that. Or does it to anybody? It's strong. Venus is basically the blessing factor. But otherwise it's not that strong. And ruler of the year Mars, how is he placed in this chart? He is in Manakaraka Sthana. He is the 8th and 3rd Lord. He is in Manakaraka Sthana with the 12th Lord Sun. He is the conjunction of 8th and 12th Lord Sun, Viparita Rajoga. Sure? Confident? 8th and 12th Lord conjoined. That is good, but is it a Viparita Rajoga? Irrespective of the house they are conjoined in. If they are conjoined in a Dusthana, it is good. If they are conjoined in a quadrant, along with the Lagna Lord, that is Viparita Rajoga again. But if they are not joined by the Lagna Lord, if they are alone, basically, if only bad guys are around and they are in a quadrant, it is not really a Viparita Rajoga. It's only Viparita. So it is kind of like Viparita Rajoga, but there isn't much Rajoga. So this Mars is not really giving any good yogas or place to us. So the ruler of the year is not favorable. The overall chart doesn't indicate childbirth that much. Yes. Moon is in the 12th house. Yeah. It's not suggesting childbirth during the year. So either there is something lacking in our understanding, we are missing some very crucial factors, or the time is wrong. It could be either. You should notice that we have seen lot of examples of the annual TP chart in our classes. There were several examples where things just stood out. We didn't know the answer, we solved puzzles and then we were confirmed. It happened several times. But as you practice and see more and more charts, you will see that occasionally you will get charts where you just cannot explain. Even if you spend the time and keep it, you just cannot explain. So that is a reminder to us that our knowledge is imperfect. There are some important factors that we are missing. So it could be that also, but if that is the case, there is nothing we can do. But if the time is wrong, we can do something about it. So let's assume that it is the time that is wrong, not our knowledge, and see if the time can be changed. And we saw that you have to change it back by 10.5 minutes, or change it forward by 3 minutes 45 seconds. And based on the events that we have already seen, changing it back by 10 minutes is not really good. And in any case, if you do that, you see that still that Saptansha doesn't look good. So let us try moving it forward by 4 minutes, 3 minutes 45 seconds, and see if things make more sense that way. Okay? Now, before we do that, let us just check which Dasha gave her marriage. See the Dasha, sorry, not marriage, childbirth. She had a child on March 16, 2004. So on 2004, March 16, she was running Shani's Dasha. Okay. Now, Shani is exalted. Shani is very well placed. That is fine. But he is the 5th and 6th Lord. And in any case, assuming that this is accurate, who will show the first child? If you want to see the birth of first child, this is an even sign. For odd signs, you count forward. For even signs, you count backward. And the first child is from, this is the first child, right? This is the first child. So first child you see from 5th house. And the second child you see from 7th house. The third child from 9th house and so on. You start from 5th, keep jumping every third from there. Because the second child is the younger sibling of the first child. So you keep going like that. And you either go forward or backward based on Lagna is odd or even. And if this is the Lagna, this is even. So the first child would be shown by the 5th house counted backwards, which is Taurus. So you would expect Venus or somebody associated with Taurus to give marriage, not really Saturn. Because birth should have something to do with the first house, if there is a birth of child. So you don't really expect, this chart doesn't really make that much sense. Now, if we change, let us say, it is actually next previous chart, if you say move forward, it doesn't work. So I'll manually add 32. I added 4 minutes to the birth time, and I made it 4:32 p.m. instead of 4:28 p.m. Now let me save it, and let me also make a note in the chart. Original time 16:28. Rectified based on childbirth. Just a note to remind me later if I see this chart to use it as an example or something. So if you make the Tithi Pravesh chart now Libra is rising in the Saptamsa chart. Of course, this chart is still the same, but Libra is rising here. And now if you see, the Dasha is still Saturn Dasha that gave her childbirth on March 16, and still the same. 4 minutes is unlikely to change. It could, but it didn't change. So now the Horalot is still Mars, but is he well placed or badly placed in this chart? In the Saptamsa chart, as far as Saptamsa chart is concerned, is Mars well placed or badly placed? He is well placed. Yeah. For Mars and Sun to be in an Upasaya is very, very auspicious. He is in a friendly house also. So he is no longer the 8th Lord in the 7th house, a Maraka, but he is the 2nd and 7th Lord, but very well placed in an Upasaya. Still a Maraka. He is a Maraka as far as she is concerned in relating to childbirth. So he can give her some physical suffering, etc. But he is showing growth. He is in an Upasaya. 3, 6, 10 and 11. These 4 houses are called Upasayas. Upasaya means accumulation. The literal meaning is accumulation. And these are the houses of growth. That is why you want male fix to be there, so that they can give you growth. And so ruler of the year is well placed in this divisional chart now. And how is the 5th Lord? And how is the 9th Lord? 9th Lord is the controller for in general happiness relating to children. And the 9th Lord Mercury, he is in the 3rd house. Is 3rd house a good house for Mercury? It is a good house. And also, especially in Saptamsa, I mentioned earlier that 3rd house is an important house because it is the 11th from 5th house. It shows gain, fructification of desire relating to children. So, planets in the 3rd house can give childbirth, and also he is aspecting his own 9th house. So, the 9th Lord is in a quadrant from the 9th house, aspecting his own house. So, overall, the controller is also reasonably happy. And the most important one is, if there must be childbirth during the year, look at the Lagna of the child. So, assuming that she had first child born this year, look at the 5th house. Should we count backward or forward? We should count forward now. Why? Because Libra is no longer an even sign. Virgo was even sign earlier. Now it is Libra. Lagna is in Libra, which is an odd sign. So if you count forward, the 5th house is Aquarius, not Saturn, Aquarius. 5th house is Aquarius. Who are the lords of it? Saturn and Rahu. Who is stronger? Who will dominate? Why? Okay, good. So the 5th Lord, Saturn and Rahu are together, and out of them Saturn will dominate, being exalted. So Saturn Dasha now can give childbirth. We saw that childbirth occurred in Saturn Dasha, and we weren't really sure earlier. Now can we be sure? Is there a good chance that Saturn Dasha would give? And now not only these, but they are associated with Jupiter. Pardon me? You don't see it from the Saptamsa chart. If this is a natal chart, then you would say the 5th house, the Lord is Saturn, he is in Libra, a male sign, he is with Rahu, he is with Jupiter, so it's a very good chance that it's a male child. But you don't determine it based on the annual chart. And also, you can use the same philosophy to find what is happening to the child every year. In every year's chart, you can see if Lagna is odd or even. Take the 5th house and see where the Lord is. Take that house where the Lord is as the Lagna and judge the chart. And you can do the same thing for each child in every year. And the sex doesn't change every year. If somebody is born as a male child, he stays male child for the rest of the life. Though things are changing in Kali Yuga a little bit, but in general that is true. So you see, you don't see that from this, but you can, we'll go back to the natal chart and try to get that. Pardon me? But still, as far as I know, that's not the philosophy. You see it from the natal chart alone. You don't see it from the annual chart of the year of birth. That's why you can see annual chart, monthly chart, daily chart. You can say this is the year of birth, so it should show. This is the month of birth, so it should show. This is the day of birth, so it should show. And then each may give you a different indication. So as far as I know, natal chart is the controller. But anyway, so now the Saturn is not only the fifth lord here, but he is with Jupiter. And Jupiter is the Karaka of children. He is the Putrakaraka. So Putrakaraka is associated, the fifth lord is associated. They are all in Lagna, showing a new auspicious beginning, etc. So there is a very good chance now that Sanidasya would give childbirth. Let us just check if there is any link in terms of Sahama also. Look at the Putra Sahama. Is Saturn associated with the Putra Sahama? Putra Sahamam is in Capricorn, the 11th house, and Saturn is a lot of it. And in the Rasi chart, he owns the Putra Sahamam and he is with the fifth lord moon. And if you see moon, like Narayan said, moon is an important planet. In a woman's chart, for getting children, moon is a very important planet. And if you see, the moon should be reasonably well placed. And not only that, but if you see the fifth house in the Rashi chart, moon is the lord of fifth house. So he is the Karyasya. As far as children are concerned, moon is the Karyasya. If he is badly placed in the Saptamsha, he is likely to obstruct. Even if other factors are favorable, he is likely to obstruct and childbirth is unlikely during the year. But that moon is well placed in the 11th house. So there is no problem on that angle also. But coming back to the Rashi chart, Saturn is Putrasahamam Lord and associated with the fifth Lord. So for these reasons, again, he is a strong candidate for giving childbirth. So it is likely to happen in Saturn period. By the way, is it Saturn period or is there an exchange of results? Because we are timing an event relating to Saptamsha. So see the Saptamsha. If Saturn is with another planet, he may exchange the result. So let us see that. He won't. Why? Because there are odd number of planets. Jupiter, Saturn and Rahu. The most benefic of them is Jupiter, the next benefic is Saturn, and the least benefic is Rahu. So that is the order. Once you arrange in that order, the first and last will exchange the result, second from last and so on. So because there are odd number of planets, the middle planet doesn't exchange with anybody. So Saturn will end up giving his own result. That is why the child was born in Saturn Dasha, not in Jupiter Dasha, Rahu Dasha. Yes.
The Rahu and Jupiter, I will never exchange a result. Because
they may or may not. Here, Jupiter is the Karaka for childbirth and Rahu is the fifth lord. Let us say Jupiter, not Saturn but Rahu was the stronger Lagna lord and he was giving the result. There is a chance in this case that Jupiter and Rahu may exchange the result. See, like I said in a previous class, this is a grey area. There is no clear thumb rule. You can't feed into a formula and get the answer. When Jupiter and Rahu will exchange their results, when they have to, when they will compromise and exchange the results is dependent on their agenda. Jupiter is the Karaka. Remember the analogy I gave earlier. The Karaka, the significators are like project managers. So Putra Karaka is, if there is a project, if this is a company, this chart, and there is a project at the company which is to give her a child. Putra Karaka is basically the project manager of that project. He is the one who is finally in charge of everything. If there aren't enough resources, he is the one who is going to talk to the directors and all the executives and get the resources. He is the project manager. He is responsible at the end. And fifth lord is akin to, fifth house is basically the group where the project takes place. The main group, there may be several groups, but there is one main group which is doing the project. And the fifth lord is akin to the group manager of that project. So he is physically responsible. He is the manager of all those people. But the group project manager is the main guy. So if the project manager and group manager don't have a good relationship, the project is basically messed up. So we talked about all those analyses in the past, and here imagine Rahu and Saturn as group managers. As far as giving her a child is concerned, they are the group managers of the group which is working on that project. And the project manager is Jupiter. And they are not really good friends. Jupiter and Rahu are actually enemies. But they are together here. So when they are together, they talk to each other and they have a good chance of executing what they have to execute. and they have a comparable agenda. One is group manager for this particular group, other is project manager who has to deal with this group. So there is a good chance that they compromise and work together. So in this particular case, if Rahu was determined to be the stronger planet rather than Saturn, we could have said that Jupiter will end up giving the result. Okay? In any case, that's not the case. Saturn is exalted, period. So Saturn is if out of the two planets who own it, one is exalted and they are with the equal number of planets, then he becomes the Lord. Okay, so we saw the Putra Dhamam. Let us go back to the natal chart. If you go back to the natal chart and see the Vinchotri Dasha, see if there is any indication in the Vinchotri Dasha. So the childbirth happened in Jupiter, Mars, Antardasha. The childbirth happened in Jupiter, Mars, Antardasha. Is there a chance? Who will show the, how do you see the first child here? Same philosophy. The Lagna is in an even sign, Pisces. So you go backward. The ninth house is the fifth house if you count backward. So the fifth house counted backward is Scorpio and the Lord is Mars. He is placed in Taurus. Pardon me? Arcade. Mars Arcade. So, good. So the result is given by either Mars or Ketu. Who is stronger? Ketu is stronger. So, he is Jupiter, the Karaka and also Lagna Lord. There is a Rajayoga. Lagna Lord and ninth Lord together, there is a Rajayoga given. So actually Ketu will dominate. You should take this as the Lagna. If you want to say anything relating to the child, you take Leo as Lagna and see how things are. For example, you see that Mercury is in the third house, he is the second lord of speech, and he is the Karaka for communication. So that Mercury being in the third house means this child will be a good writer, she will be a good communicator, she or he, sorry, you don't know that. Yeah. Okay, now is it likely to be a boy or girl?
Boy.
Why? Ketu is with Jupiter and Ketu is with Leo. Ketu is in Leo. Leo, the sign shows, art sign shows boy, and Jupiter is the significator. So he also shows a boy. Whereas if you take Mars to be stronger, would it be a boy or girl? Assuming Mars was stronger than Ketu and he is giving this child, not Ketu. It would be a girl because Mars is alone, there are no influences. So you see which sign he is in. He is in Taurus, an even sign. So that would have been a female. But who do you think is stronger, Mars or Ketu? We said that Ketu is stronger. So our guess is that it's a boy. It's a boy, good. So Ketu did give the child. Now, if Ketu is giving the child, would it be in Ketu Mahadasha? I mean, is there a chance that the child is born in Ketu Dasha? Because the Lord is Ketu and he is in Leo. So it could be Jupiter or Ketu. And as a matter of fact, if there is an exchange, it could be Jupiter. So it happened in Jupiter Mahadasha. And Mars is the secondary Lord. So he basically ended up giving the result in his Antardasha. So basically, it happened in Jupiter Mahadasha and Mars Antardasha, which is equivalent to Ketu Mahadasha, Mars Antardasha. So the two lords of the ninth house basically shared the result. One gave in the Antardasha, Mahadasha, and the other gave in the Antardasha. So the child was born. So basically, this Saptamsha is very reasonable. First of all, it is a male child, and second of all, the Dasha and Antardasha make reasonable sense. So we are happy. Again, what is the window? 3.5 minutes backwards, 11-14 minutes forward. So overall, maybe we are in the right window. Maybe we unfortunately we did not get any divisional chart where you are on the border, like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. If we get such border charts in both the directions, we can be really confident. But here, if you go back and listen to the audio and find out the various windows, you will see that we don't have a huge window. We have maybe a 5-minute window or so. So we haven't really finally rectified, unfortunately, based on the events that we know in this chart. But let us say that the time is reasonably accurate now. We have already rectified it by 4 minutes. And let's say that it's unlikely to be off by even more time, because we know that it's not backward now. Because we added 4 minutes, remember? We needed to add 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes 40 seconds or something. We added 4 minutes. So if it goes back by a minute or so, it will be wrong. Because the Saptamsha of the annual chart when she got child would not explain it. So we know that this is not backward. It can only be forward now. So we change 428 to 432. It can be further, but already we changed by 4 minutes. So there is not a good chance that it is off by another 4 minutes. So let us say that this is reasonable within a couple of minutes or so. Let us assume that, and let us proceed to look at the career. Actually, before that, let us see D24. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it was. Her patient was very serious.
When she was born. Okay. Now, why don't you explain it to the class why you said it?
Both in Rashi and the Tithi Pravesha chart.
Which Tithi Pravesha chart? Yeah.
And the year of the week.
Yeah.
A lot of 8-5 in Rashi chart.
Yeah.
Here Mercury.
Yeah.
And there even 4 and 8.
Yeah.
Typically 8 is not good for increasing growth of children.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, if it is Venus, which is what is in the Tithi Pravesha chart,
Yeah.
they show premature.
Mm-hmm.
Venus will show premature birth, but in both cases it is the 8 house.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows that in manifestation we have a lot of trouble with
Mm-hmm.
delay or whatever. Of course there is a contradiction. 8 houses delay.
Yeah.
At the same time Venus shows premature birth.
Yeah.
But in general we can safely say that there are some kind of obstacles or it is not using birth.
Yeah. And also another factor is, that's a good point, but another factor is, in general, if you see notes associated with the Lagna of a child, in the natal chart as well as in the annual chart, you can say that premature you can't say. For premature, the factors that you mentioned are the factors, but you will see that there is some problem. It can be premature, it can be a cesarean, it can be, yeah, it can be several things. Basically, there is some intervention, some manipulation, etc. There is some tension that is given if you have Rahu, Ketu associating with the, or there could be some abortion set at the beginning, and then that may be overcome. There may be some problem. And if you see the Lagna, the Paka Lagna of the child associated with North, both in the Rashi and the D7 chart, then you can be even more confident. One of them is enough, but both means it is even stronger. And you can go back and see the Saptamsha in both the natal chart as well as annual chart. You see that there is a nodal influence and the Paka Lagna in both the charts. So that is also another factor. Now, let us, what do we want to see? Yeah, we wanted to see D24. So you said that she did BE in telecom. Her bachelor's education is in telecommunication. It's basically engineering, electronics engineering. Let us see if it makes sense. And because D24 is a final divisional chart, where Lagna changes every 4 minutes, maybe we can find something interesting there. So let us see the window of opportunity we have. If it is back by 1 minute 9 seconds, it will change. Or if it is forward by 3 minutes 12 seconds, the Lagna will change in D24. So backward 1 minute 9 seconds is unlikely because we rectified and we moved it. But forward another 3 minutes 12 seconds is possible. No, unlikely. We'll see if it makes, if we have to do it or not. Now, which house will show the bachelor's education? The 4th house is the basic education, when you are learning various things in life. And when you focus on something and specialize in something like engineering, electronics, or mechanics, or civil engineering, or psychology, when you are specializing in some subject and doing bachelor's education in that particular specialized subject, that is shown by the 9th house, which is the 6th house from the 4th house, the accumulation, the growth of the learning. And the masters is seen from the 6th therefrom, which is the 2nd house. So these are the houses where you see various education. And if you see the 9th house, which planets are influencing the 9th house and 9th house? So see the main influences on that, and then you can conclude what kind of studies she goes through. And when did she do this bachelor's, Kiran? What was the time frame? Do you know? You don't know? So she didn't have a break basically because of marriage or something. She was continuously studying. So probably she is born in 81. So probably 99, 2000, 2001, 2002 was probably the time frame. So if you see the Narayan Dasha of D24, The default Narayana Dasha will take the 12th Lord as the seed, but we want, let us say, we want the 4th Lord of formal education. So 4th Lord is Venus. Where is Venus in D24? He is in the 4th Lord of the Rasi chart, the Karyasha, is in Virgo. So let us use another variation of D24 Narayana Dasha where you take Virgo as the seed. So if you do that, and by the way, Virgo is stronger than Pisces. That's why I took Virgo. Otherwise, I would have taken Pisces. So if you do this Narayana Dasha, she was basically running. She was at the end of. Finish my sentence. Libra Mahadasha. She was at the end of Libra Mahadasha when she did her bachelor. So, first of all, is there a chance that Dasha would give her education? And second of all, what kind of education would it be? First, let us see the 9th house. 9th house has Shani and Mercury. So the study she does, the bachelor study she does is associated with either Mercury or Saturn. And second of all, the Lord Sun, the Lord of the 9th house is with Rahu Ketu, and he is aspected by Shani, Mercury, Saturn and Mercury. And all these planets, Rahu, Ketu, Sun are aspecting the 9th house also. So 9th house and 9th Lord are influenced by Rahu, Ketu, Sun, Mercury and Saturn. These are the planets who are showing the education. And if these are the planets who are showing education, is there a chance of engineering, electronics engineering, and that too telecommunications? Who are the planets for engineering, telecommunications and electronics engineering? Nodes. Nodes will show electronics engineering and Mercury will show communication. So, Mercury in the 9th house and 9th Lord with Ketu and Rahu can show the engineering education that she has. And now, is one of them influencing the Dasha relating to learning? E24 Narayana Dasha is the Dasha that shows learning. Where Narayana is as far as your learning environment is concerned. You have a physics teacher, you have the electronics teacher, and they are giving you some knowledge. And Narayana is in that knowledge they are giving you. So D24 Narayana Dasha will show where Narayana is placed as far as your learning environment is concerned. And is that Narayana activating either Rahu, Ketu or Mercury during that period? Now Libra. Libra contains Sun, Rahu and Ketu. Right? That is factor number 1. And now, let us apply the 3 parts rule. We learned the 3 parts rule for Narayana Dasha. Is Libra a Sishodaya Rasi, a head rising sign, or a Prishthodaya Rasi, back rising sign? Libra is a Sishodaya Rasi. Right? You didn't do your 1, 2, 4, 9, 11 counting. Now you are doing it mentally good. So Libra is a Sishodaya Rasi. So Libra is a Sishodaya Rasi. So it will give its results. The results of the sign itself will be given in the first 1/3 of the Dasha, which is the first 4 Antardashas. And then the Lord of Libra, Venus, is he in a Sishodaya Rasi or Prishthodaya Rasi? Venus is in Virgo. That is another Sishodaya Rasi, a head rising sign. So he will also want to give his results as early as possible. So he will give his results at the earliest opportunity. So that will be the second 1/3. And the final 1/3 will give the results of occupants and aspectors. So Rahu, Sun, Ketu, Shani and Mercury. These are the occupants and aspectors. So these 5 planets will give their result in these 4 years. So these are the 4 years when she will be spending a lot of time and energy doing her bachelor's education, because the occupants and aspectors of this particular sign have a lot to do with her 9th house. They are either in the 9th house or aspecting the 9th house. So this is the period when most of her bachelor's education will happen. So based on the D24 Narayana Dasha and based on this D24, we can explain her education as well as the timing, assuming that our guess is right. She basically studied during that 99 to 2002 time frame. That is when she did most of her bachelor's education. Assuming that our guess is right, this is consistent. So shall we say that this D24 that we have rectified is accurate? Are we comfortable with it? We are. So far we are comfortable with everything that we have done. Of course, we had to change by 4 minutes, which is quite large for a 1981 birth. Usually people in 1980 should be able to use an accurate clock and take the time with a minute or minute and a half. But there may be some factors here which led to the change. And when you see that you have to change the time by like 5 minutes in order to explain the known past, don't hesitate. But don't change based on just one event. After you change the event, if you look at several other events, if it makes sense, then be confident. Basically, you should have confidence in your thinking. So 5 minutes is actually possible, even in 1980s, but even though it is unlikely, most cases it is like a minute or a couple of minutes. But it is possible. Somebody may not have noticed the time, and then they may have noticed it later and said, oh, I forgot, so let me subtract 5 minutes. It may be only 1 minute, but it may seem like 5 minutes. Or they may have noted the time at a wrong time. They may have thought, okay, they cut the umbilical cord, this is the time, but she may not have breathed for another 4 minutes. And that may be the right definition. So there are various factors that can go into the recording of a wrong birth time. So the bottom line is, we are basically comfortable that this time is not off in the backward direction by more than half a minute and in the forward direction by more than 3 minutes. And possibly because we already rectified by 4 minutes, not even 3 minutes. Probably it is off in the forward direction by not more than 1 minute and off in the backward direction by not more than half minute. So that is the window that we have. Now let us... Yes.
The question one is this, I mean, she did bachelor's telecom, right?
Correct.
Is this what she wanted to do? She did because she didn't have a choice and
Yeah.
she didn't get that because of the competition in India.
Yeah.
And they settled for this. And number two is, if she do really well in this in the bachelor's,
Okay. Yeah, now, actually, why don't you try to explain? Narayan has been doing a lot of explaining, but he doesn't have to. Why don't you try to get? First of all, the ninth lord will show the learning relating to bachelor's education. And how is the ninth lord? Ninth lord is basically the intelligence applied towards bachelor's education. Ninth house is the bachelor's education that you are getting, and ninth lord is the intelligence that you are applying towards your bachelor's education. Always, houses are inanimate things, and lords are animation between them. They are animation behind them. They are the intelligence that you are applying towards that activity. So, ninth lord is the intelligence you are applying towards learning. Now, somebody tell me how is the ninth lord and why Narayan said it. That's none. Ninth lord is debilitated and afflicted by, he is totally hammered by Rahu Ketu. Okay? So,
no, because it's delicate.
12 from air, you can't use that to see whether the person is interested or not. How interested you are, how much energy you are putting into that learning. That is the paka, that is the intelligence basically. That is shown by the Lord. When you are talking about Arudha, you are not talking about your intelligence applied to that particular thing. You are talking about the image of people. What is Arudha Lagna? Arudha Lagna is the image of the people relating to her learning. Because this is the chart of learning, and Arudha Lagna is always the image, the status. So Arudha Lagna in D24 is the image people have of how learned she is, how intelligent she is, how much she knows. So that image. So from that image, if Leo or the Lord are well placed, not well placed or well placed, you can draw conclusions about what kind of impact that education has on her image. But you can't say anything about whether she is interested or not. Your own interest, your own energy are from the Lord of the house, always, from the Paka. So, ninth Lord being afflicted and being debilitated, that must be why Narayan gave that she was not really very interested in it and not very excited about it. She was kind of probably depressed about it, not really happy basically, a little sad at having to do this. And now, why was the education, why was there delay in the education? Why did she not really do well? And why did she have a lot of delay? Why didn't she excel in this education? Anybody wants to take a stab at it? First of all, who are there? Who are there? Who are in the ninth house?
Actually, Mercury is also Bhadak sitting in the ninth house.
Yes. So you in the ninth house, in the ninth house of bachelor's education, you have the influences that you have are Shani and Mercury. One is Badhaka and the other is
Second,
the planet of slowness and also functional malefic. The same Saturn, if he is a good planet in this D24, if he is a benefic planet, he would show lot of patience, lot of perseverance, and then doing well because of it. But if Saturn is malefic in a chart, he would show lot of slowness, lot of disinterest, and then not having patience, and then taking a long time to do it, etc. So Saturn is a malefic from Sagittarius as well as from Leo. Even if you take the bachelor's education as Lagna, Saturn and Mercury are not really auspicious planets, they are malefic planets. So basically this house is influenced by malefic planets. So there is a good chance that it will be slow. And now what I want to impress upon you is, just because Shani is there, don't jump to that conclusion. We made that conclusion because Shani is malefic. There may be somebody else. See, for example, Shani being in the ninth house will show certain kinds of education. The Saturnine education. If somebody is a civil engineer or materials engineer or something, all those areas may be shown by Shani. And you can't conclude that every civil engineer is very slow. He takes 7 years to do bachelor's in BE in civil engineering. That's not the case. So by mere presence of Saturn, you can't conclude delay and prolongation. But you can conclude it if Saturn is a malefic planet in the chart. I mean functional malefic.
second is third, but it's got both the role of second and third.
Yeah.
Second house is not there.
Second is a neutral house. According to Parashara, second house is a neutral house and third house is a malefic house. So second and third lord is a functional malefic, period. And if you see the Leo, if you see from Leo, is the sixth and seventh lord. Sixth lord is a malefic and seventh lord is a neutral planet. Seventh lord actually, according to Parashara, the seventh lord is bad if he is a benefic, natural benefic, and if he is a natural benefic, he is not bad. He did not say good. He only said not bad. Some people take it as good, but according to Parashara, strictly speaking, the quadrant lordship for malefic, for natural malefic, is not bad. It's basically neutral. So seventh is neutral and sixth is bad. So overall for Leo Lagna, Saturn is a malefic, a functional malefic. So both the ways Saturn is a malefic. And Mercury is also a malefic. For both Sagittarius and for Leo. So Leo is basically being hammered by two functional malefics whose agenda is not really very favorable. So as a result of it, first thing you can conclude is she will not really excel in this education. On the other hand, if you see benefics in that house or nice yogas in that house, you can see that education will be very fruitful. And finally, if you see how the Lord and the sign are placed with respect to the Arudha Lagna, you can see whether this education will boost her image or take down her image. And here, this is basically the 12th house, the house of loss, compromise from Arudha Lagna. So this education will actually, it will result in a loss of her status, loss of her image. She may not really be seen as a very smart kid in the school, etc. Her image will basically, it may have been better in the previous education. Actually, if you look at the 4th house, Sagittarius, it is a very sattvic sign. It is aspected by Jupiter by Rashi Drishti. Its Lord is Jupiter.
Also aspected Venus and Mars, which are taken care of by AL.
Yeah, it is a quadrant from AL. But Venus and Mars are not real. Yeah, actually that is a good combination. Venus and Mars is a very uncomfortable yoga because they are not friends. There is a lot of friction. But it's a good yoga because they are the 5th and 6th lords. So that is 5th and 6th lord being together in a quadrant. What is that yoga? It makes her intelligent, Dhimanta yoga. So the planets giving the Dhimanta yoga, who are in Arudha Lagna, giving the image in education, they are aspecting it. And along with Jupiter. And especially Venus aspect on Pisces is auspicious. Why? He is exalted there. He is not there right now, but it is the sign of his exaltation. If a planet is aspecting the sign of his exaltation, that is good because this is like somebody is excited being at a party or working at a particular group at a company and excited. And I'm not working there, but I'm influencing the group, let's say. I have a desire and I have some influence on the group. So because I like that place, I will basically, when I associate myself with that group, I will associate in a very positive way. So if you see a planet who gets exalted in a house, is aspecting that house.
But always,
Yeah.
whenever there is time when they're building, always aspecting how to build this document.
That is only desire. He is at a very bad party. He is thinking, why am I here? I should be at that party. So always the desire is, when a planet is debilitated, he is depressed and also he desires the opposite. So that is only desire. That is only Grahadrishti. I am talking about Rasadrishti. Grahadrishti is only desire. Pardon me? Okay, what kind of education does Venus show? Can somebody tell me? Venus shows micromanagement, the modern management, MBAs, etc. What else can he show? He can show fine arts, anything relating to art. Can he show filmmaking, etc.? Possibly, Venus and Rahu show filmmaking. So, various things relating to entertainment, show business, happiness, etc. You can, but we don't really know for sure how to use them. We know for D10, but D24 we are not fully sure. But let us see because you asked. So whose Amsha ruler do you want to see? Sun. Sun is in Vrishadhvaja Amsha. Do you know what it means? See, in the case of Dashamsha, I know confidently. I have worked with a lot of charts, so I taught you. But in the case of D24, I only know bits and pieces. I don't have a clear picture of what various deities stand for. So I haven't really taught you how to use the D24 Amsha ruler, except that there are some bits and pieces which I am confident of, but some pieces that I am not fully confident of. So when the knowledge is basically more mature, then it is worth teaching. But I can tell you for now that Vishwakarma and Maya, those are basically, do you know who they are? First of all, in order to use these Amsha deities, you should know some mythology, you should know some stories from the Purana, who these guys are, and then you can apply them. So if you see who is Maya, he is the architect of demons. And who is Vishwakarma? He is the architect of God. So basically Vishwakarma and Maya are the architects, the divine architects. And one works for the God, the other is also a divine person, but he works for the demons. Now, we are talking about education. Just like in Dashamsha, the deities, we are talking about which direction they will give for the karma. Here, which attitude they give towards learning. What kind of nature they give to your learning. That's what we are looking at. So, when you have Vishwakarma or Maya associated with D24, there is a lot of construction. You are basically processing and constructing things. So, if you see any planet in the D24 associated with one of these planets, you will see that those people will be learning things and also constructing things as they learn. The way they learn is like creating magic and creating things. For example, if you see Sanjay ji is D24, Jupiter is in the 10th house showing lot of karma in the society, but he is in Vishwakarma Samsha. So he is basically making him construct knowledge. He learns this Purana, he sees a story. He sees a particular principle given by Bhrigu. Then he thinks, yes, these are correlating, this is what it means. So he is always into this is what it means, this is what it means. You may make a few mistakes, but in the process, you will create beautiful understanding of various knowledges. You are putting various things together. When Vishwakarma puts together a big city, he is putting together various pieces and he is creating something amazing. Same with Maya. So when these planets are associated with learning, people their attitude towards learning is that of putting various pieces together, creating magic and creating something beautiful, creating beautiful knowledge. And if it is Vishwakarma, it is very sattvic, it is for God. If it is Maya, there is something undesirable associated with it because it is related to them. Okay? And similarly, let's say Antaka. If a planet is in Antaka Samsha, who is Antaka? Who is Antaka? Anybody know? What? You said something that seemed Anta means termination. Ka means the one who causes. Karayati iti ka, which means one who causes. If you see ka at the end of any word, that means one who causes it. So, yeah, Antaka is the one who causes the end. Who causes the end? Yeah, good. Antaka is another name for Yama, Yamadharmaraja. So, he is the one who causes end because that is dharma. He is not causing end because he hates things. He is causing end because he is following dharma. There is a particular dharma that has to be followed. And he has no emotion. You go and ask him, please, I want to live for some more years, please. He has no emotion. This guy is crying. He's a nice guy. He prays every day. He doesn't look at that. There is a particular dharma, cycle. The whole world has a cycle. There is a dharma. Just follow the dharma. It is basically impassionate and unemotional pursuing of dharma. That is what Antaka stands for. So if a planet is in Antaka's 324, the approach, the attitude towards learning is that of have to do it, that kind of attitude. So when the person learns something, unemotional. Some people maybe when they may be learning something and then something else dawns on them, it seems wrong for some other reason, and then they don't want to revise everything. They want to say, well, I'm not happy with it, so let me compromise. People who have Antaka's influence on a planet in D24, as far as learning shown by that planet is concerned, they will be unemotional. They want the truth. There is no compromise basically. If they have to destroy the entire knowledge that they have obtained until now, so that they can progress, they will destroy everything. Because unless death happens, no new birth is possible. So this is a cycle. So they will see things as a cycle. They may learn something, they may do something, and then suddenly they see it is wrong. They will undo everything. They will just press a button and then redo everything. They are patient basically. So that's the kind of approach Antaka will give. Similarly, each planet will give so an approach based on the nature of the planet. See here, Sun is in Vrishadhvaja. What does Vrishadhvaja show? Who is Vrishadhvaja? Does anybody know Vrishadhvaja? Okay. Vrishadhvaja is a deity who is associated with various rituals, etc. He is the one who causes various rituals to happen. So this is basically, there are certain procedures. Why do we do various rituals? Are they necessary? No. Well, they may not be necessary. They may not be necessary. If you want the ultimate knowledge, which is basically knowledge of self, some rituals may not be necessary. They may help you, but they are not really necessary. But there is a certain path given to go to certain end. So you follow that path because this is what you were told. This is the tradition. Follow the tradition and follow that path so that you will eventually get there. So that is what Vrishadhvaja symbolizes. So if Vrishadhvaja owns the D24 Amsha of a particular planet, as far as learning shown by that planet is concerned, the approach will be ritualistic, traditional basically. This is the tradition, this is the path I was told, I will just follow it, I will go through it as a ritual. So learning is basically a ritual for such people. It's basically a formality that you go through. So as far as the 9th house is concerned, the Lord is in Vrishadhvajamsa. So what you can conclude is the bachelor's education is basically a ritual for her. She does it because she has to do it. But again, just because a planet is in Vrishadhvajamsa, don't conclude that it is bad. The way I portrayed it is, here it may sound bad. But rituals are not bad. When I said to get the ultimate knowledge, which is Atmagnana, that is the whole goal of D24. That is the whole goal of all the siddhis. The ultimate knowledge is knowledge of the self. In other words, knowledge of the Brahman. And to get that knowledge, various rituals that you do, they are only formalities. They are only, you are told to do them because they help, so you do them. So the way I said it, it may have sounded bad, but it is not bad. Depending on where you are, it is very essential. So don't think that it is a bad answer, but it shows something that you are doing because you have to do. Somebody told you have to do. You have respect for tradition. You have respect for people who told you to do it, so you are doing it. And that is the approach towards that particular learning shown by that particular planet who is in Vrishadhvajamsa. And others I will not really say because there are some which I have seen in various charts and found an understanding that I am comfortable enough to share. Like I mentioned the 3 rulers. There are some more, but I am not fully confident of all the D24 laws. So when the knowledge is basically more mature, then we'll talk about it again. Any other questions? Parashurama? I'm not fully sure, but if you want to think for yourself, Parashurama is basically the avatar of Vishnu corresponding to Venus, and he is the one who destroyed Kshatriya. He is the one who is very passionate, very angry. He is the one who destroyed the whole Kshatriya clan from the world. So he's basically very driven, very energetic. If you have a particular goal, right or wrong, of course Parashurama did not have a wrong goal. I'm not saying it's a wrong goal. But once you have a goal, you are so passionate that you must do it. You must. If you think that certain thing is a bad thing, you just cut down. So that kind of approach in learning may be shown by Parashurama. Very intense, focused, goal-oriented approach. Lot of passion also. Now, we have seen, because we are running out of time, let us jump to the actual question. But though answering questions is good, looking at the past and trying to make sense is also good, and also solving puzzles is good. That will help us by looking at various events from various angles. We learn, so we do that. But the main reason we took up this chart was to answer his question. So let us see his question. The question is, she has a HR job offer and she asked Kiran, is this the right career for me? Now, is Dashamsa Lagna on a border? Well, it's not really, that's good. It's in the middle. So if you see the times, what? Oh, I thought this is Lagna, this is Punya Samam. 5 degrees, so it is on a border. If it goes forward, it will change very soon. So if you see the Dashamsa Lagna, 8 minutes backward, it is the same Lagna. But 2 minutes 20 seconds forward, the Lagna changes to the next one. So we are not, based on all the rectification we have done, we are not fully confident that this is right. It could still be the next time. But because we already rectified by 4 minutes, adding another 2.5 minutes is 6.5 minutes error. So we will take a chance that this is right. So we will say there is a 80% chance that this Lagna is right, and there is a 20% chance that it is Aries. So we will proceed with that assumption, and let's focus on that 80% chance, and let's focus on Pisces. So if this Pisces is right, what kind of career would you expect? What is her career? Jupiter is in the 10th house. Yeah. First of all, which house should you see for career? Why are you jumping to 10th house? 2, 6 and 10. 2, 6 and 10. Which is strongest? Which house is the strongest house? 10th house. Because 2nd house has Rahu, the 10th house, 6th house is empty, Lord is alone. 10th house has its own Lord in Mulatrikona, in great strength. So 10th house is dominating out of 2, 6, 10. So we will see the career from the 10th house. Now, what kind of career does Jupiter show?
Administrative, management, finance.
Yeah, it can show finance. It's planning basically. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom. It's the planet of planning. And it can be... Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Aspect of Sun. Sun is the 6th Lord and he is associated with the 10th Lord. When you see association between 2 Lords of the Arthatrikona, that indicates, that strengthens the indication. So 6th Lord Sun is in a mercurial sign and he is aspecting Jupiter. So this combination can show administration, human resources, etc. So that is definitely a possibility. But let us step back and say, we know that she has this offer. But let us step back and say, well, is there a chance that she will go back to engineering and do the nice telecom engineering that she enjoys studying? Let us see if that there is a chance of going back. Is there any chance of having a career in telecom?
Venus and Mars is there also.
Yeah, Venus is in Lagna, but he is not influencing Arthatrikona, the work that she does. The work that she does has Rahu influence, Jupiter influence and Sun influence. So there is Rahu in the 2nd house and 11th from AL. AL will show education, AL will show material status, and the 11th from AL will show the gains to the material status, the areas from which you gain materially in your career. So Rahu is there in the 2nd house in the 11th from Arva Lagna, and Rahu can show engineering, electronics engineering. So can she gain from electronics engineering? There is some chance. There is some chance. But is it strong? You will see that all these planets are in the second, 8th house axis. And the Mercury and Ketu, who are important for telecom, more important than Rahu, and they are in the 8th house. So we don't really, and also Rahu, who is in second house, he is the 12th lord. His agenda is to make her compromise, not to give her gains, etc. So Rahu doesn't really have a favorable agenda to her. So overall, the chances of gainful employment in the telecom area is not really strong. Yeah, okay, Saturn is stronger. We were talking about Rahu because he was in the second house of the Trikona. So the Saturn is in the Moksha Trikona. He basically works towards making her give up things in career. Why do you even want a career? So that is what Saturn is working for. See, you see so many planets in the 8th house in the Dashamsa. For such people, even working is actually difficult. When you have a strong 8th house in the Dashamsa, 8th house is the house of retirement. So the retirement is stronger than the career. So
also, career may have a lot of tensions because the moon is also in house.
yeah.
Because she might be having a lot of tensions. Also, the fourth lord is in fourth house, so she might not be having comfort with that.
Yeah, fourth lord is in 8th house. The Bhadakesha Mercury is in 8th house.
She may not be having comfort.
A lot of planets are in the 8th house. And especially moon is in Manakarka Sthana there. And if you see the Rashi chart, in the Rashi chart, moon is the 6th lord. Out of the 6th, 10th and 2nd houses, 6th house is very strong, showing lot of overcoming obstacles, service, etc. And that lord moon is in Manakarka Sthana in Dashamsa. So as a matter of fact, when you see this Dashamsa, you don't get lot of inspiration that this is somebody who will have a very strong career, very successful career, etc. It seems like somebody who may have some fleeting jobs, but not really a stable career or so. If at all she has stable career, it is due to the blessings of Jupiter. Because Jupiter is extremely strong. The 10th lord is extremely strong. So one thing you can say right away, whether she has a stable career or not, even if she remains a housewife, she will do some good karma in the society. She will have some good deeds done in the society for people around her. That is one thing you can say. Because 10th house in Dashamsa can show various works that you do for the society. So she will be active, she will be a very active person in the society.
Point of time in earlier. Second house Lord is Mars.
Yeah.
And Mars is the aspect of the sun.
Yeah.
So Saturn Mars is in hand,
Yeah.
and Saturn will become aspect and give it around.
Yes. That is a good point. I was actually going to make that point. In the Rashi chart also, if you see, Mars is a very key planet. He is in the 6th house. Mars is in the 6th house with the Lagna Lord, and he is the 10th Lord. Pardon me? He is debilitated fine, but he is the 10th Lord in 6th house. He is basically linking two Artha Trikonas at the physical level. So he is a key planet. And in the Dashamsa, he is basically the 2nd and 9th Lord. The point is, in the Rashi chart, the physical existence, the 10th Lord Mars, who shows the accomplishments in the physical domain, he is in the 6th house of overcoming obstacles. And he is giving a very uncomfortable Raj Yoga with Rahu. It's not a great yoga because they are enemies, but still they are Lagna Lord and 10th Lord. In the house of overcoming obstacles. So she will overcome lot of obstacles and get something accomplished in the society. And Mars is the planet who is showing it at the physical level. And in the Dashamsa, in the professional environment chart, that Mars is not greatly placed, but not bad, not really bad. He is the 2nd Lord and 9th Lord, so he is basically a functional benefit. He has a good agenda in the professional environment. He wants to create a good professional environment. That is his desire. Even though he is placed in Manakarka Sthana, he is placed in Bhadaka Sthana, still being the 2nd Lord and 9th Lord and aspecting the 10th house. I told you earlier that 6th Lord Sun is aspecting the 10th house and 10th Lord Jupiter. So there is a link between two Artha Trikona. This is another link between two Artha Trikona. Mars aspecting Jupiter, he is linking the 2nd house, resources, to 10th house, accomplishment, getting things done. So because of that link, Mars will put the resources to use and get something done in the society. But this Mars is not associated with the 6th house, it is associated with the 7th house. So at some point in her career, at some point in her life, she may actually have a business. If 7th house is strong and Mars is the Karaka for enterprise, if you have Mars, link between Mars, 7th house, 7th lord, etc., there is some enterprise. So this Mars seems to indicate to me that she may have some enterprise, some business or partnership or something, and do something independently and do something for the society as a result of it. So that is what Mars can give when the right dasha comes. So that is one thing. And the second thing is, and exalted Venus is in ascendant. Is it good or bad? Venus is in Lagna. Is it good or is he well placed or badly placed? Being in the Lagna itself, he wants to control his her entire career. He is in charge of the entire career because he is in Lagna. He has access to those resources. But what is his agenda? Does he want to give her recognition, lot of work, etc.? No. 3rd and 8th. Short breaks and long breaks. He wants to give 3rd house is the house for short breaks in career. 8th house is the house for not having a career at all. Retirement. So that is his agenda.
The only good part is this one today.
She will not have any affiliation to work.
Very unlikely.
Her attitude will be the 5th lord is in the 8th house and very bad condition.
Yeah. 5th lord is totally destroyed in Mankaraka Sthana.
Only good.
6th is the house of abilities. That is the core foundation of what you do. Lagna and 5th. Here both are associated with the 8th house. 5th lord is in Mankaraka Sthana in 8th house and Lagna has a 8th lord. So overall, see, Jupiter in the 10th house and Sun and Mars. These are the Sun, Mars and Jupiter. These are the planets who may make her do something in career. Otherwise, looking at other planets, we can conclude that she will be content to not have a career, stay at home, take care of her nice son, her spiritual son, etc. That may be what she intends to do, but she may have a career. Now, because of this tricky nature, we have various influences. Overall, we don't see a strong career, but we do see some career. And as far as being in service is concerned, some kind of administrative work, possibly human resources, is certainly possible. So you can advise her that the current job offer is a good offer for her.
What is the offer?
Even though, pardon me,
What kind of job offer?
it's a HR job. He mentioned it just before you stepped in. So she has a HR job offer and she is wondering if this is the right line for her. So based on the chart, we suspect that this is the right line for her. But we also suspect that no line is right enough for her to stay for a long time.
Actually, I want to say 8-5. Deliberate.
It's in the 8th. Yeah.
But also the instance, Lagna Lord is still with 8-5. So many planets are still with 8-5.
Yeah.
It will happen all of a sudden. There will be an
It's a 8th house related thing. So,
Self-recognition.
yeah, it will suddenly happen and it will suddenly end also.
Yes.
There will be a lot of suddenness relating to getting recognition, etc. A5 will show the recognition she gets. And it is in the 8th house with so many planets. So, she will get opportunity. Somebody will recognize her abilities, give her an opportunity. Then somebody else will recognize her ability, give her an opportunity suddenly. So, there will be a lot of sudden development. Now, let us look at the Dasha. Do you want to see Dashamsha Narayan Dasha or do you want to see Vimshotri Dasha? Okay. Kiran is for Dashamsha Narayan Dasha, and because it is the chart he brought, we will see Dashamsha Narayan Dasha. So in the Dashamsha Narayan Dasha, what Dasha is she running right now? She is running Sagittarius. So she, pardon me? So Jupiter is right now in command. So this is a good period for having a career. But let us look at the three parts. Who will give the result in the first part? First, is Sagittarius a Prishthodaya Rasi or Sishodaya Rasi? Back rising or front rising? Head rising? Prishthodaya. So it will give its result as late as possible, in the last 1/3. And when does Jupiter give his result? Lord will get to take the next available 1/3. And he is in a Prishthodaya Rasi, so he also wants to give the result as late as possible. So he will give the result in the middle 1/3. So Sagittarius, being the 10th house, will give its results in the last 1/3, Jupiter being the 10th lord in the 10th house, he will give those results in the middle 1/3, and the first 1/3 will be the occupants and aspectors, Sun, Mars, Jupiter and Venus. These 4 planets will give the results in the first 1/3. But in the first 1/3 probably she was still studying, so even though there may be conducive influences, we have to ignore them because the right age hasn't come. She is still studying. And in the second 1/3, which is running right now, in this period, Jupiter has taken control as the lord of the house. So, is there a chance that she will get a telecom job during this period?
No.
Very unlikely. Very, very unlikely during this period. The strong chance is Jupiter kind of jobs, consulting, planning, administration, etc. Taking care of things. Now, I told you another principle. Apart from 3-part principle, when you know that a planet is giving its results in a particular period, I told you a way to divide it into 4 parts to see when the planet will give various results. Does anybody remember it, or because we haven't done it for a couple of months, everybody forgot? Yeah, because Jupiter is benefic, there is a different order. For malefics it is reversed. For benefics, what is the order? The first he is not bothered about his own state. Is he excited or depressed? That is at the end. The first is the house he occupies. So during the first 1/3, he will try to give the results of the house he occupies. So Jupiter in the 10th house, he will try to give those results. In the second 1/3, what results will he give? He will try to give the results of the houses he owns, first and 10th house. And in the third 1/3, what results will he give? He will give the results of the yogas he has. Any planets that are associated with him, giving any yogas, etc. So, Sun and Mars aspecting him, that the result of that yoga will be given in the third one. So during this 2004 September to 2005 September, this is when the results of Sun's aspect on Jupiter and Mars aspect on Jupiter will be given by Jupiter. And finally, the last 1/3, the last 1/4 of Jupiter's period, 2005 September to 2006 September, what results will be given then? The state of Jupiter, the avastha. What avastha is he in? First of all, in Dashamsa, he is in one house. And if you see the Sainadi avastha, what avastha is he in here? He is in Agamana avastha, which is a very mild avastha. And in basic avastha, he is in Kumara avastha. So, he is in reasonable avasthas, no, nothing special. But look, coming back to the Dashamsa, he is in not only one sign, but Sagittarius is Mula Trikona. And if a planet is in Mula Trikona, I told you that it is akin to somebody who is at work. A planet in exaltation is akin to somebody who is excited, very charged up. And a planet who is in own sign is akin to somebody who is at his own house, relaxed, do whatever he wants to do very relaxedly, very calmly. And a planet in Mula Trikona is akin to somebody who is at his office. So he is very duty-minded. Whatever agenda he has to fulfill, he will just do it. Even if there is some delay because of some reasons in the earlier period, in that period he will accomplish it. So that is the period when he will duty-mindedly do his job. So Jupiter right now is giving the result of Sun's aspect on Jupiter. That is why she is getting into human resources, etc. And in the next period, Jupiter will give the result of being in Mula Trikona in the 10th house. So her career will take a flying start then. It may start even before that, but I think that is the year when her career will be consolidated. Jupiter, in this chart, Jupiter in the 10th house is the only planet who is really showing a good career. And then he will get down to business in the last 1/4 of his period. And then she will really have a solid career during that 1 year. But what will happen after that? Well, Sagittarius will give the result. So the 10th house will give the result. When Jupiter is giving his result, he is Lagna Lord, he is 10th Lord, he is Karaka for certain things. So there is lot of confusion. But when Sagittarius itself is giving the result, there is no confusion. It is 10th house, period. So those years, yes, I'll take your question finally, but those years, 2006 to 2010 are the years in my judgment when she will have a solid career. So next 1 year, the career will be built up. And the next 4 years, Yeah. The next 4 years, the career will basically be very solid. She will have a nice career. After that, there may be changes. Why do I say, without looking at the dasha, I say that there may be changes afterwards. Why do I say it?
At the end of Sagittarius,
Because the important dasha is ending and also her chart shows lot of changes. So very likely after Sagittarius dasha ends, there will be some changes in her career. And we will focus on that dasha also now. But we'll take your...
I think Jupiter is in Yama.
Yes, I was going to talk about it but forgot. Yes.
Also, since 7 from May, it is will be supported by me.
Actually, Jupiter in one house in a quadrant from Arul Lagna is not at all bad for him. He will promote the image. And Yamamsa, what does Yamamsa mean? Jupiter is in Yama. See, in Dasyamsa, he is controlled by Yama. What did we say Yama control? What did we say Yama means? Yama Dasyamsa, unemotional, just do your duty and basically go through your responsibility. So she will be doing some kind of
unemotional.
planning, etc., where there are no emotions. Basically, she is just doing her duty.
And we are talking about more Trigona and the official mood. I was thinking that maybe it is Yama and
Well, that indicates, that strengthens that indication. Jupiter being in Mula Trikona, in general, will make her duty-minded. And being in Yamamsa, it will make her even more duty-minded. So the next 1 year, now she may be wavering, but in the next 1 year, after September, she will really get into the skin of that job and then really grow as an administrator in that particular year. And then during the next 4 years, she will have a nice career. And how is Capricorn Dasha?
All the 8 house, all the sudden things will happen.
Capricorn is the 11th house of gain. It's the 11th house of gain. And it has, which Arudha does it have? A3. It has A3. What does A3 show? Initiative or short break also. It could be both. And the Lord is in the 8th house. So how will this year, this Dasha be overall?
Not very good. Career is bad.
Yeah.
Oh, not good to look at it.
Why do you say that?
Because A3 is a short break. On 8,000.
But A3 is also the house of the Arudha that shows initiative and enterprise.
Maybe
And there are indications of enterprise and initiative in this particular chart. And A3 is in a trine from 7th house. 7th house is the controller for initiative.
desire.
So it is in a trine from it is in a Kamatrikona basically. A3 is in a Kamatrikona and it is in the 11th house from Lagna. So when A3 is in the 11th house from Lagna, she will gain from enterprise. Yes. Right.
Still, I mean, you think there's a possibility of presence
So,
of price.
right, because we see Mars giving certain result in the chart, having some enterprise, doing something on her own and getting gains because of it is possible. And Capricorn is a conducive dasha to it. Of course, Virgo or some dasha associated with Mars is definitely conducive. But don't...
work hard. Focus her energy on it.
She will focus her energy. A3 is also not only enterprise, but it is manifestation of the third house. Third house is initiative. So it is the manifestation, tangible manifestation of her initiative. She will work hard, and she not only work hard, she will show a lot of fire basically. A3 shows the fire that you show in your career. Right now the fire will not be there. Why? She will do it unemotionally. I will go, every month they will give me this salary, I am doing it. I am supposed to do this, call this guy, tell him this, do this, fill this papers, I will do it. That is the approach. But the fire will not be burning now. Why? Because Jupiter is in 12th from A3. Third house is the initiative. A3 is the tangible initiative, the tangible fire in her. And Jupiter being in Vyaya, 12th house for me, the fire will not be burning that hard. But in Capricorn Dasha, that fire will be burning very strongly. So during the Capricorn Dasha, there is a chance that she can start a business and actually succeed in that business. Let us take help from Jyothishya Dasha also and see what Dasha she is running then. So she is running Shani Dasha. Saturn is giving Viparita Raja Yoga, 8th Lord in the 12th house, but also he is the 11th Lord in the 8th house. During Saturn Dasha, she will be working very hard. Saturn in the 8th house, so a lot of hard work, etc. But is there a chance of gains? Have a business and having gains? Yes. Which Antardasha is it likely in? Who are the planners who show business in this chart? Mars and Mercury. Right? Mars and Mercury.
Also the Lord of A7.
Pardon me?
Mars is the Lord of A7.
Yeah, Mars is the Lord of A7. He is the Lord of A7 and he is in the 7th house. So, Mars Antardasha is a favorable Antardasha, 2019-20, and Mercury Antardasha. Mercury is the 7th Lord after all. So, it can get her into business in the Mercury Antardasha. So, 2010 to 2012 and 2019-2020, there is a chance of, during those periods, if she is thinking of getting into business, we should advise her to do it because there is a chance of gain. And going back to Narayana Dasha, the first one is Capricorn, the Capricorn period, and it will be, let's see the 2019 period. Pardon me? Why?
It's the Lord of A9 and A10. So some Arjya and Karma will fructify that.
That's a very good point. And also Arudha Lagna. Okay. So let us go back to that. So Narayan is adding a point. Based on Capricorn Dasha, which is Labha, 11th house in the Dashansha chart, we said that Capricorn Dasha will bring some gain. Now what Narayan is saying is, the Antardasha Mercury is also very favorable. We mentioned earlier, especially when you are judging Antardashas, Arudhas are important. We mentioned it in the previous class, right? So if you see the Arudhas that Mercury is associated with, he is the Lord of Arudha Lagna, he is the Lord of Bhagyapada, A9, which shows tangible manifestation of fortune in career. And he is also the Lord of A10. This is basically the tangible accomplishment. So when A9 and A10 are together, it's a Rajyoga. This is akin to 9th Lord and 10th Lord being together. This is a material Rajyoga, not anything more than that. Materially, the person will be perceived to have some tangible gains. There is basically a fusion between the tangible fortune and the tangible accomplishment. So basically when they come together, he is seen as somebody. There is some tangible indication on the ground of his fortune, of his accomplishment. So during this period, because the Lord is Mercury and he is also Lord of Arudha Lagna, her overall status. And from Arudha Lagna, where is he? In the 5th house. So he shows basically he makes her look to the world as a very capable person in career. So because of all these reasons, Mercury Antardasha is a good Antardasha. And of course, when you are judging the Antardasha, you can take the Mahadasha Lord as a center, as a reference. So taking Saturn as reference, how is Mercury? Is he good or bad? Very good. From Saturn, yes, from Saturn, Mercury is the 9th and 12th Lord, a functional benefit in Lagna. 9th Lord coming to Lagna and taking this as Lagna. The 10th Lord, the 9th Lord, the 4th Lord, the 5th Lord, all of them are conjoined here. So there are excellent yogas in Lagna. So actually you can conclude that in Shani Mahadasha, Moon Antardasha, Mercury Antardasha, and even Ketu Antardasha, all those Antardashas are excellent in that particular Mahadasha. So overall Shani Dasha is a good Dasha in career, even though she will be working hard. Because from Lagna, which is true self, Saturn is in the 8th house of alienation and also working hard and feeling of basically dissociation. It is a moksha trikona. So she will not, from the point of view of true self, she will not be involved in it. She will be a little bit discontent. She will be working hard. She will be feeling as though she is working hard. She will basically, her true self will be suffering a little bit during this period. But materially, she will be making a lot of money, etc. So I see the Mercury Antardasha as a turning point because at the same time, Capricorn Dasha is coming. So I see 2010 as a turning point. So my prediction is that my advice would be to get into the HR job, but get to know some things, some contacts, develop some contacts whereby Yeah, you are a businessman. So I was thinking of the word immediately say contact. So during that period, develop contacts, etc., and have an eye on business, because that is, again, she will not be a businesswoman for the rest of her life. There will probably be a short period when she will make a lot of money and then again retire or something. That is the kind of Dashamsa. So first of all, very unlikely to have a stable career. Second of all, there will be some period between 2010 and 2020 when she will succeed in her own business. And third of all, that is the time. So there isn't much time. There is very little time. So until 2010, focus on getting contacts, put things in place so that she can have her own business in 2010. And after 2010 September, think in terms of doing her own business. And just to be sure, let us see, because once again, Narayan Dasha changes in September. When does Mercury Antardasha start? March. So let us say both will be basically functioning from 2010 September. Let's make a chart for 2010. Annual chart. See how is the chart? Does it actually show anything special? Because otherwise it may be the next year. Just out of curiosity, let's see the year. How is this year? Is it a good year or bad year? Now, the ruler of the year is, Hora Lord is Jupiter.
No, because 10 is when
2010 September is when the Capricorn Dasha starts. That's why I am looking at this. So, the Hora Lord is Jupiter.
Jupiter is in 9th house in the
Pardon me, Jupiter is?
9th house.
Jupiter is in the 9th house in own sign. So, this is a year of what will have, what is the main agenda of Jupiter during this year. Of course, it's 6th and 9th Lord both, but 9th house is really respected. So, Jupiter is in the 9th house affecting Lagna. So, this is a year of Bhagyodaya. Her fortune will basically rise during this year. If you have the ruler of the year associated in a very favorable way with the 9th house, that's a year when your fortune will bloom. So, first of all, you can say that this is a year of fortune. Now, second of all, the Lagna Lord, how is he? Lagna Lord of Rashi chart moon is in 12th house. But he is giving a Raj Yoga. Very unpleasant Raj Yoga, but it's a Raj Yoga. Why Raj Yoga? Ketu owns the 5th house. 8th house of the natural body. Ketu owns the 5th house and moon owns the Lagna. So their conjunction will show, definitely it will show some fortune. But it is happening in the 12th house. And also Jupiter, the ruler of the year, is in the 9th house. So one possibility is during this year there can be fortune, but relating to some foreign sources. Either she may go to a faraway country, or she may be doing something related to a faraway country. She may start some business which has something to do with a faraway country. But there will be some, because 9th and 12th stand out in terms of Lagna Lord and ruler of the year. There will be some foreign connection during this year. So, what? Now, everybody has 1 minute. Everybody can say I agree. So that is point number 1. Now jump to the Dashamsa. How is the Dashamsa? How is this guy Jupiter? He is almost like the natal chart. When you see something, some good blessing factor from the natal chart, repeating in the Tithi Pravesh chart, and that too he is the ruler of the year. You can conclude that that is the year. That is the year when excellent things will happen. So 10th Lord, Jupiter is very well placed in the 10th house. And he is also the Lagna Lord. And who is in Lagna? Mars is in Lagna. 9th Lord, Mars is in Lagna. So whatever Mars shows in this chart as well as natal chart, there is a good chance of that being on her head during that year, as far as career is concerned. Because Lagna is head. That's what you are thinking about. So, and look at the 7th house of business. How is it? Let us not say strong because we are convinced it is strong, but look at the factors. First, who are occupying it? Saturn and Sun. Is it good or bad? First of all, is 7th house strong or weak? It is strong because it has planets. First of all, lot of planets. This room has 10 people. If there is another class in the next room, there are only 2 people. This room is strong. Of course, those 2 people may be learning more than these 15 people, but still, democracy also matters to an extent. So, first of all, there are several planets. Second of all, how is the Lord? Because Lord is the intelligence driving it. How is the Lord of this house? He is in 3rd house of initiative. Mercury is in the 3rd house of initiative. And if we see in her natal chart also, Mercury has to do with the 7th house. So, the same planet is basically getting an indication, and also Mercury is the Karaka. Mars is the Karaka for enterprise, and Mercury is the Karaka for trading things, working out deals. For all those things, Mercury is the Karaka. If you want to have a business, Mars is the one who gives you, yes, I want to have a business. I don't want to work for somebody. I want to do it on my own. That spirit is given by Mars. But once you have the spirit, you have to plan things. I need to deal with these guys, make an arrangement with this company, talk to these guys, get an agreement with these guys, make sure that I am on good terms with this guy, be good with this guy, be good with this guy, feel good with this guy. Who is the Karaka for all that? Mars is not the one who will make you be good with everybody. Mars is the one who will make you. Is he not agreeing to me? Go and kill him. That is Mars. If you are talking about being good with everybody, it is the nature of Vaishya. We have the 4 Varnas, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, the learned men, the warriors. Mars is a warrior. And then Vaishyas, they are the traders, and finally Shudras, the ones who get the main things done. So these are the various Varnas. And who are the Vaishyas of the planetary system? Mercury and Moon. So they are the ones who can talk nicely with people and make sure that they are not hurting everybody. Because Vaishyas should not hurt anybody. Brahmanas, they can afford to hurt people. Vaishya, Shudras, they can afford to hurt people. And Kshatriyas, they have to hurt people. That is their job. But Vaishyas, they cannot afford to hurt any people. Pardon me? Otherwise they can't do business. Yeah. So you have to be, you may not like X, you may not like Y. And X and Y may be the worst enemies of each other. But you will be nice to X, you will be nice to Y, do business with both. That is Vaishya. That is Vaishya Dharma. And Mercury is the perfect Vaishya. And of course Moon also. So Moon and Mercury are the Vaishyas. And that Mercury is the 7th Lord in the 3rd house. He is linking 2 Kamatrikonas, and he is also in 11. The Arudha of the other Kamatrikona, the manifestation of the desire. So for these reasons, basically Mercury can give, Mercury has a good chance of giving her, basically working out various details of her business. So during this year, she may not only think of business because Mars is on her head, but she may work out various deals with various people, put things in place. That is what Mercury does. And now come back to the planets in the 7th house. Saturn and Sun are in the 7th house. What do you say from that? Sun is the 6th lord. So he is the one who shows her service. 6th house is the house of service. 6th lord is the intelligence applied to service. So that planet is in the 7th house. So what this could mean is, if the 6th lord is in 7th house, we discussed this earlier, he or she may start in a job, do some service to somebody, and during the service basically pick up things, and then transition from service into something that she is doing on her own, where there is a strong desire involved. When you are serving somebody, there is no strong desire. You are not getting a lot out of it. You are only working hard, 6th house. But 7th house, it is desire. You are not happy. I am working for that person and making this much money. If I do the same thing and work for myself, I will make this much money. So, if the 6th lord is in 7th house, you will be involved in service and you will start thinking in those terms. So, this is indicative that there may be a conversion from service to business during this year. This may be the year when she will convert her solar, the HR kind of business, HR kind of work, service, into a business. But will it be pleasant? Is Sun happy there? He is a Saturn. If Sun and Saturn are together, is it good or bad? He does not mind being with Sun, but Saturn hates Sun. If he minds being with Sun, he will make his life miserable.
But it's not mutual.
Pardon me? Sun will not make Saturn's life unhappy. Sun will like Saturn because he's Sun. Come on, Sun, what do you want? I'll give you. But Saturn will say, what, Dad? You want this? I'll do everything I can do to make sure that you are ready. So that's what Saturn does. So the sixth lord. Yeah. Who? Margasthana, you mean? Forget the Margasthana in the Sanskrit. I mean, if you see the 8th lord in 7th or 7th lord in 8th, you can talk about Marga. Just by some planet being in the 7th house, don't say they are in Marga, because that is business house also. Of course, when you do business, that is killing your career. That is actually, in a way, killing your career. But don't look at 7th house as just Margasthana. For example, if you see Navamsha, 7th house is the house of marriage. Of course, somebody may see marriage as death. That's a different thing. But the point is, just by some planet being in the 7th house in Navamsha or Dashamsha, is not going to give death in that area of life. For a planet to be Maraka, there are other conditions. If the 8th lord is in 7th house, or 2nd lord is in 7th house, or 7th has a malefic planet, then you think in terms of Maraka. But here there are two malefics in the 7th house. So there is some Markatva involved. So there will be some end in the career. Some end and a new beginning. So it is likely that during this year she will get into a business. And what else I wanted to say? If you want to judge the nature of the business, you should not use the Tripravesh chart. You can get some hints, but it is mostly based on the natal chart. So see the natal chart, but even in the natal chart it is Mercury and Mars. So it can be relating to those areas. So I can't exactly tell you what kind of business, but it could be relating to the work that she is doing, and tell her to get some contacts, and tell her that even if she is not thinking in those terms now, after 2010, during 2010, there is a good chance that she will get into business. So tell her that, and tell her to be basically prepared for that. And also tell her, because Mars is the planet in the 7th house, in the Dashamsha, and if you want to see what kind of business, let's go back to the natal chart, that's a good question. Now, how do you see what kind of business? Do you see the 7th house? Do you see the A7? What do you see? Let us be clear. Animate things, thinking, intelligent things from planets. Inanimate things, circumstances from houses. But both will show intangible things. When you say, for example, my abilities, they are intangible. When you say the software that Narasimha wrote, that's a tangible. When you say the award that Narasimha got, that's a tangible. When you say the teaching ability of Narasimha, that's an intangible. When you say the lesson that Narasimha taught, which is recorded as an MP3 and put on the web for downloading, that is tangible. So we have to realize that Arudhas will always show tangibles, and houses will always show the intangibles behind them, the hidden intangibles behind them. So this basic you should basically drive into your head. This should be at the middle of your head, so that it is accessible from all sides in your brain. So make sure that this forms the basic of your common sense. Now, 7th house will show the desire, how you pursue the desire, etc., and the relationships that you build for your business, etc. So 7th house is showing the business, but the intangible aspect of it. The 7th lord is showing how you pursue that business, how you pursue the relationship, how you pursue that desire, what you do, what the intelligence does to pursue that desire. That is 7th lord. Now, what is A7? The Arudha of the 7th house. This is the tangible aspect of this is the tangible manifestation of your relation, business, desire, etc. So if you want to say what kind of business, is it a fishery, or is it a food business, or is it a clothes business? What kind of business? Or is it HR, business process outsourcing? What kind of business is it? If you want to draw conclusions about it, always focus on A7. Now, where is A7? Who are influencing it? A7 is in the 9th house. Scorpio. Pardon me? Only Rahu is aspecting it. The Rashi Drishti on Scorpio, if you see, highlight the Rashi, only Scorpio. There are other two Rashis aspecting it, don't have any planets. So you should draw conclusions about the nature of the business from Scorpio and Rahu. So what kind of business would it be? Pardon me? What did you say?
Pharmacy.
Definitely possible. Definitely that's a possibility. Anything else? Do you see any foreign connection in the business? Because it's the 9th house. A7 is in the 9th house and the Jalaras is Scorpio and Rahu is affecting it, the Kalaka for foreign things. So, pardon me? It can be. I'm not ruling it out. But one aspect is, it can be relating to foreign influence. And we also saw in the 2010 annual chart that there may be some gains from foreign sources during the year. So, whatever business she does, if the HR job that she is getting into, if it gives her some contacts abroad or anything like that, that may be helpful to her. Tell her that eventually she may get into a business where there is some foreign connection. And now talking about the telecom, Moghya and Rahu, Mercury and Ketu are the planets who show telecom. And they are not really well placed on this A7. They are not associated with this A7. So I would not think of those, but I would think the Scorpio, 9th house and Rahu involved with the A7, I would think that the business would have something to do with some foreign sources, some import or export of some things. And also Scorpio, what kind of things will Scorpio show as a sign? What kind of inanimate things will Scorpio show? Yeah? Some hidden things. Smuggling, yes, absolutely. Yes. We shouldn't advise, but we should. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. What? Yes, there can be some secretive kind of thing. Yeah, could be occult also. Yeah. Yeah, that is possible. So it can very good point actually. Scorpio does show occult. Ketu is associated. Rahu is aspecting. So some importing of something relating to occult subjects, yoga or Ayurveda, Tantra, healing. Like he said, pharmacy. But this being Scorpio, it could be basically alternate medicine. So if she is involved with exporting or importing of some alternative medicines or some yoga things or some spiritual, the new age kind of things. Basically Rahu can show new age, Scorpio can show new age. So new age things, secretive things, cult kind of things. Scorpio can also show, Scorpio and Rahu can show cult, things relating to various cults. So this kind of shady thing, she can get into some business relating to this, that can actually be very favorable to her. So tell her that these are things that she may want to look for in future, but for now, tell her to focus on her start job and try to cultivate some contacts. So with that, I will end for today. Maybe we should go to jail. Let's not say that. Let's not say that. Actually, if you want to say if the person will go to jail or not, you should see that 12th house in the Rasi chart. See what kind of influences are there. Actually, she has Ketu in the 12th house, so she may in general be a spiritual person. There may be some spirituality, some interest in the occult by itself.
She's either going to get sannyas or she's going to go to
Please don't tell that. Anybody who has Ketu in the 12th house either get sannyas or go to jail, because I have Ketu in 12th. Okay, two of us are here. We have Ketu. No, I hope I'm not. My wife will kill me. You don't have to get sannyas to be detached. Yeah. Okay, so with that we will end. Actually, before we end, let me just suggest one thing to her. Where is Amartyakaraka? Amartyakaraka is Jupiter. He is the one who shows K. Oh, by the way, so the planet in the 10th house in the Shamsha is Amartyakaraka too. That is very good. So in the Navamsha, see the 6th house from Amartyakaraka. What is it? Sagittarius. And it has Mars in it. So the Palana Devata, the 6th lord from Amartyakaraka and Navamsha, the 6th house from Amartyakaraka and Navamsha, the planets in it will show the Parana Devata. If there is no planet, you take the Lord. Here there is a planet, so take Mars. So the Parana Devata is shown by Mars. A form of the Divine Mother, which is shown by Mars. If she worships that form, that will basically help her in her material pursuits, in having livelihood, in having a good career, etc. That can help her. So as far as Parana Devata is concerned, who is the planet for Mars? Who is the deity for Mars? Yeah, but think of a Devi form. When you are talking about Parana Devata, we usually give Devi form. Bagalamukhi, Chandi, Chamundi, etc. So those are the forms. So if she worships a fiery Divine Mother form like Bagalamukhi or Chamundi or Chandi, that will be beneficial. That will give her the energy relating to basically pursuing her material career, understanding the material world and organizing the life in the material world in a better way. That is given by the Parana Devata. And also in the Dashamsha, who is the fifth Lord?
I thought most of the time women we suggest male form.
For what? It's not for women. Even for males. When you see the 12th house from Atmakaraka, to see the Ishtadevata, to see the one who gives moksha, we usually take an avatar of Vishnu. And if you want to give a deity who will give happiness in the material plane, so that you can rise spiritually. For that you take a Devi form, a Shakti form. Material world and also transcending the material world so that you rise spiritually. So first be happy in the material plane, understand the material world, and then rise spiritually. That Shakti does. And then once you are spiritually thirsty to get the moksha, finally one of Vishnu's avatara can take you. And for success in career, we worship Shiva's forms, one of the Jyotirlingas, and the Jyotirlinga corresponding to the fifth Lord should be worshipped. We mentioned it in a few previous classes. In the Dashamsha chart, who is the fifth Lord? Moon, especially because the fifth Lord is so weak in this Dashamsha, it is a very good idea to worship the Jyotirlinga corresponding to fifth Lord. Otherwise, things may be very slow in career. So, who is the Jyotirlinga of Shiva corresponding to Moon? Somanath. For Moon it is Somanath. So, the mantra is Om Namah, no, not Namo Bhagavate, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Somanathaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Somanathaya. So, if she does that mantra for Shiva, do it 108 times, or if that is too much for her, do it 21 times, or 11 times, or 3 times, or once. There's nothing less than that. So do it as many times as she can, preferably every day. If not every day, Moon is in Libra, so at least Friday, if not every day. Do it on Friday. That will be very good for her. That can make her rise in the career. She has a lot of ability within her to do some karma in the society. But that ability, because the Lord controlling that ability is the Lord who's the intelligence driving that ability. He is in Mankartasthana. So she will not be applying her intelligence well towards building her abilities and getting things done. And unless you build the abilities, nothing will happen. So if she does this mantra, this will be actually more than the Parana Devata. If she does this mantra, this will help her a lot in her career. So with this, I will really end now. Sir? Anybody? Yes, Bhimeshwara, Bhimashankara. You can find the entire list of various Jyotirlingas associated with various planets in Sanjayji's book, Vedic Remedies in Astrology. If you get that book, you can find the list. Okay, we will end with this. We will see at the same time, same place next week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Also slightly defective when you take the, if you go through on the metal chart.
Yeah?
Like Ashara chart, because has the star, not like that. It has star picture based on this and sun card in 12th house.
Yeah?
If you just see the Rashi, it is kind of very defective and you may not have to carry it.
Yeah. Never make predictions based on the count of planets in various houses.
No, but in Ayurveda chart also just from making
Akshara, I don't remember.
it was effective, but only when you went to Vedanta.
You will find it in many cases. Yeah. Okay.
I'll give you the date and I'll get my glasses from the car.
Okay.
She was born on March 17, 1982.
March 17,
82
Okay.
in Madras.
Where? What time?
1:15 a.m. in
1:15 a.m.
in Madras.
So this was after 16 was over and 17 just came.
15 was over.
1:15 a.m. means 16 date was just over.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Some people take it the other way.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
So which place?
in Madras.
So did you take a bus? Yes. Oh. So where did you come? Which town did you come
I'll be
from?
back.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Which you were saying you may come to Boston or Lowell. Where did you come finally?
From Lowell, nearby.
Oh, I see. So you came to Lowell by bus.
Yeah.
Do you have your lesson?
Do I have?
Your lesson book.
Unfortunately, I don't. These guys are handling it. I don't handle it. And it can be downloaded.
These guys have.
Seshu may I have. Ask him.
Okay.
Talk to Seshu about it. That person right there. He has it.
And what about this program? I had light version. Can I buy?
This is free. You don't have to buy it now. This version is free. Whatever you see here is free. You can download it from my website.
But there is a light version. There is some options with.
Yeah, now everything has been made. There's no light version anymore.
Really?
There's only one Jagannath Hora now. And it has all the features. No disabled.
Because I loaded it. Not, oh, maybe it's.
See, we sold it for a
How far
while.
away?
This was last year. No. This February it was made. This February 20 something.
February.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until then there was a commercial version which we sold and we have that money we use for the organization. Now we made everything free. So you can download it, but the download is, there is a 4 megabyte version which doesn't have the full atlas and the full ephemeris. But if you want the full atlas and ephemeris, it is 55 megabytes. So that is also, there is a download site. You can download it. Do you have broadband at home?
What?
Broadband connection so that you can download large files from internet
No, I just have a wireless connection.
and a dial-up. Okay, in that case, downloading the entire 60 MB may be a difficult thing, but you can download the, not the light version, it has all the calculations, but no full explanation, no full atlas. So that version you can download. The other one,
This site is your site. Your
vedicastrologer.org, my site, yeah. You will find all the links. Now everything is downloadable, except that if you can't download the big thing, you can download the small thing. But you will not be missing any calculation. You will only be missing ephemeris and atlas. And further, if you want the full thing in a CD, my wife mails CD. You can send a mail. Again, the link is on my website. You can send a mail to my wife.
Please send my mail.
Yeah, email. Send a mail and give
Email.
So email to my wife, give her your address, because I don't have copies right now.
Alright, can I write now? Right?
Yeah,
My mail?
Yes.
You
Yeah, go ahead. Can you type?
Yeah, sure. It's A. Is it A or sorry? The first. It's
First
A.
is S, yes.
No, it's supposed to be. I'll do it. Right.
Delete here.
A. Yeah.
So,
Armen.
Armen.
Yeah. Armen. And Guy, it's my last name.
I see. Okay. Actually, why don't you give your physical address also?
Physical address.
Because that's where she will mail it.
This is my address. 9978.
Mm-hmm.
5.
Actually, why don't I type it? Because
Okay.
it's
Brain,
yes,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm used to this keyboard. Can you spell 99?
78, 66 Road,
Yeah.
Rego Park,
Rego Park.
New York.
Yeah.
Zip code is 11
374.
374.
Okay. What is the full name? Armen?
Yeah, Armen. Melik.
Melik. Melik.
E-L-L-I 1L.
Oh, L-I.
Yep. Melik.
K.
Yep.
Okay. Armen Melik.
Yeah, I will be very appreciated.
No problem.
And
So for now you can download, and in a couple of weeks you can use the CD to this address. Then you can download, you can install the CD.
thank you very much. And one more question.
Yeah.
This is my shirt. I have a question about marriage from already to 51 and what your marriage and some individual relationship now with my maybe already can you
Why don't you tell me the data? I will see it later because I promised the gentleman for a few weeks. I will see that chart now. So I will see your chart later. I will send you an email. Okay. But why don't I take the data and make sure that I have the chart? May 1934. 854.
Tashkent, Uzbekistan.
Tashkent, okay. Uzbekistan. Tashkent. This is the one. This is Tashkent.
The second one, I think. That one.
Yeah. Okay. Same.
Time zone?
Time zone is what is it? Is it 5 hours?
No, 6. It was 6.
Oh, okay. So there is another in the time zone. So let me save it. So Lagna is 18 degrees. 19 degrees.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure exactly the time because
How much long can it be? 5 minutes or half hour or 10 minutes?
I think about half an hour, maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
I have some events in my life.
Can you send them to me? You have my email address.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay, so send me an email, a few emails. I'll try to take a look at the chart and then I'll send you an email and
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And one more question.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't be here every week.
Yeah.
Is it any place in New York where
It's not right now. Not enough. If I know, I'll tell you.
I will try to be here because it's very interesting for me.
You can also download the MP3 and listen to the audio.
This guy, I'm not sure about.
Yeah, there is a site.
And I already.
There is a link on my website. If you go to my website, there is a link to the site you may find.
Really? Okay.
You can download the MP3.
And what about your book integrated?
Yeah, I don't sell it, but there are links on my website to sites like the Astro Method.
Internet show, 21st.
Yeah. That there are 3 different things.
Okay.
You can find the link. Get it from one of those places.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I will send you event, right?
Yeah.